Back when we were kids, most of us thought the news was just the truth, and the man on the screen wore a tie, and he sat behind a desk and looked into the camera like he knew everything. He spoke clearly and seriously, like he was there to inform, not to sell, and we believed him. We believed all of them. But we were watching with blindfolds on, neatly packaged blindfolds that wrapped around our heads from the moment we turned on the TV. And let's face it, guys, the scary part is those blindfolds weren't accidents, they were handed to us. This episode isn't just about fake news or slanted politics. It's about something deeper. It's about how media, old and new, has shaped what we think, what we know. Not just what we believe, but how we think, how it trained us to trust certain voices, ignore others, and dismiss entire truths because they never got airtime. It's about how headlines replaced textbooks and how emotions started mattering more than fact. So today we're pulling off the blindfold. We're talking about how the media raised us and what it left out on purpose, and I am your host, Sue. So let's start with what we were never told in the classroom, okay? So back in school, if you remember, we were taught like the basic dates, wars, names, inventions, and all that stuff, but there was a quiet agreement, like certain things weren't brought up. We didn't learn how corporate media worked. We didn't learn that news stations were owned by a small handful of massive companies. Nope. We weren't told that most newspapers in the country were owned by just a few hands either. No one mentioned that what makes it onto your screen isn't based on importance, it's based on ratings, sponsors and silent agreements. Instead, we got the polished version, the safe version, and if you were the type of kid who asked too many questions, chances are you got told to stop watching so much TV. Not that TV itself was shaping the nation's perception of reality by any means. Then came the shift. All right, let's face it, the news stopped being news and started being entertainment. At some point, right under our noses, the delivery changed. Like the news anchors became personalities. Reporters started smiling more. Background music crept in, yes. Segments got flashy graphics, countdowns, and those dramatic transitions. Everything was branded. Everything had a hook. And somewhere in all that polish, the actual truth got buried. Think about it. Think about it good. We weren't being informed anymore. We were being managed. News stories were selected not by what mattered most, but by what could keep people watching. Fear sells. Outrage sells. Division sells. And the media, well, it figured it out. How to tap into our nervous systems. How to keep us anxious, reactive, and tuned in. This wasn't about left or right. This was about control. Psychological control, emotional control, and in a way, spiritual control. Because if you can shape what a person sees, you can shape what they believe. And if you can shape what they believe, you can steer their whole life. And if you still think it's just about politics, think again. The fear game shows are everywhere, even the damn weather. You live in New York. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Even the Northeast, they'll tell us a massive winter storm is coming like it's the end of the world. Go get your milk, your bread, your water. Hurry before the shelves are empty. Meanwhile, we've got some of the biggest snowplows in the country. This ain't Georgia. The roads will be cleared before you've even finished making that French toast that you panicked into prepping for. They don't care. Nope. They need you anxious. They need that little shot of adrenaline. So you'll stay tuned in, share the warning, and drive the ratings through the roof. It's not just the storms, guys. It's the economy. It's the flu. It's the air quality, the index of it. They'll take anything and blow it up just to make you feel unsettled. Like you need them to keep you safe. Fear is the hook, oh yes. And once again, you're hooked. And then you stop asking questions. Doesn't stop with the news anchors or the weather hype. Now we've got fear being drip-fed through entertainment. Ever notice the timing? Let's say there's a story about something flying through space, an object that's going to pass by Earth in a few weeks. The headlines make it sound urgent, even though it's a million miles away, right? Then suddenly, Netflix is loaded with end-of-the-world movies. Tubi's pushing shows about meteors, impact events, or global disasters. It's not an accident. The media ecosystem knows how to strike when people are already on edge. They feed the fear across every channel. News, movies, even social media. You don't even realize how tightly wound you've become until it's too late. Yeah, they've turned our screens into pressure cookers, and the more scared we are, the more we cling to the screen for updates, guidance, or distraction. It's fear-based programming, literally. Here's the real danger of it all. It doesn't just stress us out, it shuts down our ability to think clearly. When you're in fear, your brain isn't scanning for truth, it's scanning for safety. You're not asking questions, you're looking for shelter, and that's exactly what they want. The more they keep you in a reactive state, the less you trust your gut. You stop feeling things out and start defaulting to whatever voice is the loudest. And suddenly, your inner compass, your own sense of what feels right or wrong, gets drowned out by panic, flashing headlines, and dramatic soundtracks. And once that inner compass is gone, you're easier to steer, and you're more likely to believe a lie. If it makes you feel safe, that is, right? At that point, you're more likely to go along with the crowd just to feel like you're doing something. That's the part nobody talks about. How fear turns people into followers. That would be the so-called, quote-unquote, sheeple people talk about, right? Yeah. And it's not because you're weak, but because they're overwhelmed. This isn't just a psychological trick, it's spiritual too. When you can't hear your own inner voice over the noise, you lose your grounding, and media, old and new, thrives off of that disconnection. So after the news softened us up and reality TV numbed us out, social media came in and finished the job. But it didn't come through the front door, it came in smiling. Oh yeah. Showed up like a friend, like a connection, like freedom. It told us we could say whatever we wanted. Find our people, speak our truth. And at first, it felt fabulous, let's face it, right? But underneath, it was just a louder, faster, more personalized version of the same old script. Instead of one news anchor feeding us headlines, now we had a million mini broadcasters. Sharing, reposting, ranting, performing, and it felt real. But it was just noise, turned up to 11. Social media didn't have to create fear or outrage. It just had to amplify it. You scroll through your feed, and what do you see? Not peace, not perspective. You see panic. Hot takes, warnings, call-outs, chaos. Because emotion drives engagement, and engagement is the product, not the truth. Not insight, just clicks, shares, and dopamine hits. Bam, right? The wild part? It's you doing the work now. We became the broadcasters. We spread the fear. We reinforce the echo chamber every time we hit share on something that shocks us. Yes, the machine doesn't even have to lie anymore. It just gives us the tools to do it ourselves. Wake the up! Social media hijacked the part of the brain that craves connection and rewired it to crave reaction. That's how they keep us locked in. You're not just looking at the screen anymore. The screen's looking back, learning what pushes your buttons and what makes you afraid and what makes you click. And it feeds it right back to you like a mirror that wants to own you. Do you not see this? I mean, come on. And now that fear has bled into real life. People don't just carry opinions anymore. They carry triggers. They don't talk to understand. They talk to win. Or worse, they just cancel each other completely. You say something someone doesn't like, boom, you're blocked, labeled, dismissed. There's no room for, wait, let's talk this out. People don't even listen anymore. They just scan for offense or wait for their turn to clap back with something they saw in a meme. Everyone's being trained to argue publicly on display like it's some kind of sport. You're not trying to have a real conversation. You're performing one, hoping people would clap for your side. That is what social media did. It made opinions into brands. It made arguments into content. Now people are walking around with rehearsed lines and stock phrases, but no depth. They're parroting headlines and TikTok rants like scripture. Let's not leave out Facebook and all the rest. And the second someone challenges it, they shut down, lash out, or just disappear. The real dialogue, gone. Nuance, gone. Now it's all about sound bites and side taking. And we wonder why people feel more alone than ever. Come on. And here's where it stops being just annoying and starts being dangerous. Because all of this, it's not just noise anymore. It's laying the groundwork for a civil war. Not with muskets and bayonets yet, but something even more corrosive. Division by design. People are no longer disagreeing. They're dehumanizing. It's not, I think you're wrong. It's, you are the enemy. Families don't talk. Friends drop each other over posts. Communities fracture over slogans. And every time we swipe, we're fed more reasons to fear each other. More reasons to choose a side. That's not an accident, guys. Divide and conquer still works. It's just digital now. Feed people fear, isolate them, strip away common ground, then light a match and watch them burn each other while the machine runs in the background untouched. Yep. That is what's going on. And if you look closely, signs are everywhere. Neighborhoods tense, protests escalating, people openly fantasizing about what side of the fight they'll be on when it finally happens. What finally happens, guys? Come on. The media stokes it. Social media fuels it. And we're all standing in the middle, breathing in the smoke. This isn't about left or right. It's about power. And the easiest way to hold power? Keep the people beneath you. Too distracted, too angry, too afraid to realize they have more in common than they think. Yeah, we actually do. And while we're at each other's throats, nobody's asking the bigger questions like who built this game and why we keep playing it, right? Because here's the final trick in their bag. Distraction. Big, shiny, emotional distraction. Whenever they tell you to look up, that's exactly when you need to look down. Because while your eyes are on the sky, they're slipping something under the table. It's classic misdirection. They flood the news with celebrity drama, space objects, political chaos, whatever gets attention. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, bills get passed, rights get chipped away, money gets funneled, and decisions get made that affect every single one of us. But we're too busy fighting online or staring at a screen too long to notice. Yeah. You think they don't know how we work by now? They know. And they're banking on that fact that if they give us something loud enough, dramatic enough, and scary enough, we won't look anywhere else. God forbid. Let's go back to where this all began. The message we've been fed since we were kids. You live in the best country in the world, yeah? Right? That's what we've all been told. We were told we were the freest, the strongest, and the most advanced. That our way of life was the dream. But look around. We're not thriving. We're barely holding it together. People are drowning in debt. Homelessness is exploding. Families are living out of cars. Mental health is tanking. Addiction is everywhere. And the middle class, might we say, disappearing? We're not united. We're divided, paranoid, and wore down. We argue over every freaking thing. We don't trust each other, and we can't afford the basics. Good food, rent, a doctor's visit. And yet the media still whispers in our ear, you're lucky to be here. But how lucky are we really? Think about it. When freedom has a price tag, and truth is something you have to dig for in the dark, that's the real blindfold. And until we call it what it is, nothing is going to change. It's time to turn away from the screen, not just social media, all of it. The movies, the TV, the so-called news, the endless cycle of chaos and crisis that keeps us distracted, divided, and disconnected. And while we're at it, put down the controller too Even the video games now are nothing but fight, fight, fight. Constant conflict, constant adrenaline. It's training us to stay in a state of tension, always on edge, always ready to react. That's not relaxation. That's programming. Here's one for you guys, you music lovers. Even the music changed. Most people don't realize this, but music used to be tuned to 432 hertz. Natural, balanced frequency that resonated with the body and calmed the mind. And then it was switched to 440 hertz and more. And everything shifted. Yes, that tiny change created tension instead of harmony. It agitates the nervous system, raises stress, and subtly keeps people off center. And that's the soundtrack we've all been living under ever since. Yes. We've been watching fake problems, fighting fake enemies, and vibrating to a chaotic frequency while ignoring the very real people sitting right in front of us, the ones who matter, the ones we are losing touch with. It's time to get back to basics, back to what feels good. Not what's loud, not what's trending, but what brings peace, joy, presence, real connection, music that heals, food that nourishes, laughing with people you love, nature, eye contact. Yes, eye contact and stillness. It's time, guys. It's time to stop living through screens and start living here in the real world. Not the programmed one. Not the digital one. Not through electrodes, chaos, beats, or endless notifications. Because once we unplug from their world, we finally return to ours. And that's when we truly remember who we really are. This has been another episode. Thanks for listening, and we will get back to our normal ones in the next episode.
Origin unexplained.